Hello, my loves. I felt called to show up and record a video about the energy that we are about to be experiencing. I will be back next week to record and share March energy forecast for you and what we may experience and how we can navigate that. But I talked about last video that we were going to experience three cosmic waves in addition to the tsunami of light that began to move through in the beginning of December. And this is in addition to, it's not that the tsunami of light has stopped by any means, but for a good chunk of us, we are now able to sustain that frequency. So it feels a little bit more regulated. It feels a little bit normal. And not everybody, like, listen, I still have exhaustion. If you are somebody that was picked up in that tsunami of light and is being carried into the new earth frequencies, then you may still be experiencing ascension symptoms like colds, flus, allergies, exhaustion, physical weird pains in your body that you don't really have a solid explanation as to why you're feeling. But for most of us, we're starting to regulate and integrate and allow that new big cosmic wave that came in to be our norm, if you will. So these cosmic waves of energy that are coming in are a, in addition to that. And what that light is doing is no different than what a waterfall does. And the guides often refer to these huge waves of light that wash in as waterfalls. Because when we look at a waterfall is really powerful. It has the capacity to change the form of the landscape that surrounds it. It can change the shape of a rock that is very solid. So as that wave of energy washes through you, it is going to hit any density that's within you that needs to change form. And it will break that energy up and allow for it to be more digestible. Right now, in my book, Holy Grail, The Journey Through My Soul's Evolution, I coined the phrase emotional digestive cycle. And so when we have these big cycles, this is why I like to fast. Um, Either ahead of the energy or when I know the energy is going to be happening, because then it allows me to digest the energy that's being broken up inside of me and prioritize that over my food digestion, because digestion is the most taxing thing our body will do as a human. So before I go any further, for those of you who are new to me, I am Johanna Burkhardt. I am a multidimensional channel, teacher, healer, and author, and my mission is to help you to become the change that you want to see so that you can create the reality that you are desiring. And we do that through managing our frequency, doing that inner alchemy work. And that's really where I like to focus my energy and how I utilize your guides and mine in session and mentorship. So understanding that these waves are coming in and they're hitting anything that isn't serving you, that may have been repressed in your being, that you are ready to let go of and make space for the new frequencies to enter and expand your capacity to hold the higher frequencies and to embody a new, greater perspective of limitless potential. So, as these waves come in, you may experience different things. Everybody will experience it differently. For me, the last cosmic wave that we had, the first cosmic wave of the three that we had last week, as that moved through, it began to hit on places inside of me where there was repressed anger, frustration, abandonment, and I allowed myself to express those emotions. I even made a reel about it where I felt like I was being drowned in my own energy because there's so much energy in Pisces right now. But I still allowed it to come through. It was a combination of laughing, of crying, of screaming in my car, and just expressing and allowing that anger and that energy to move through me. And that's what you are being asked to do. You're being asked to surf these cosmic waves because the moment you fight, it's like you're in the ocean, right? Your emotions are represented by the ocean. And in that, you think about when you get caught in a riptide. If you start to fight, you get pulled under and you can actually drown. But when you surrender, when you let go, when you allow it to take you to where you need to go, you float. You don't drown. You don't get caught up in the tow. So that's what you're being asked to do. Do not fight with whatever comes up for you, whether it's a physical symptom or an emotional symptom or an emotional expression, I should say. Allow it to move through you, not to derail you, not to drown you, not to suck you down into a hole. Surrender to it. Allow it to move through you. Allow it to carry you to where you need to be. So this next cosmic wave, the second cosmic wave of the three, feels like, remember, time doesn't really exist. It's a construct that humans created to help us with this matrix game that we are playing. So roughly around tomorrow being Wednesday, the 26th, through about the first few days of March, that's the window of which this next wave is going to move through. And you may experience it maybe only one day. Maybe you experience it more because you're a little bit more stubborn and you hold on and fight and resist. So if you notice that it's kind of lingering or that you're having a few bad days in a row, that's your sign to surrender and let go. Accept what is, make the best of it, express the emotion in the most healthy way you possibly can. Within this energy, we also have a new moon in Pisces. I have a heavily influenced Piscean chart. My moon sign is Pisces. It is also, out of all the zodiacs, I have the most Pisces in my chart out of any other sign. There's actually a way that you can look this up. I think it's on Astrology Cafe. I'm not sure. It's a certain chart. It will tell you, just for food for thought for people I know who will ask me this. You can see the percentage of each sign that's actually in your chart and what's the most ruling energy. So for me, it's Pisces, Scorpio, then Cancer. So it's always heavily water influenced. But because I have a high Piscean energy in my chart already, I actually have more clarity and I'm more in tune during these times. The same is true if you have any planets that were in retrograde when you were born. When those planets retrograde, especially like Mercury, you actually are more in alignment than when it's not in retrograde and when it's moving forward. So those are just fun little tidbits that I wanted to throw in. But because we have this Pisces new moon in Pisces, this is also an activation of the eclipse, the first eclipse in the series that is coming up in the middle of March. This is an eclipse activation. It is also an activation of the North Node. So the moon prior to the eclipse is always a portal opening. It is an activation. It is the opening of the eclipse portal. And so this energy that we are about to open up to is a portal. It is something that is meant to liberate us, accelerate us, and usher us in to a new direction that we are meant to be going in. And because there is a North Node activation in Pisces, since this isn't, newly in, the North Node is newly in Pisces, this is where a lot of people are going to be pushed and shoved into the direction of their destiny that they are meant to be going in. And you don't want it to get that way. You want to choose to step into that calling that's on your heart. So if you are somebody who has been sitting with, I have a calling, I have something on my heart, I know I'm meant for more. I know that there is a greater purpose, a greater mission. There's something more I'm meant to be doing. This is your sign that it's time for you to choose that for yourself and to take the next step that you are meant to take to go towards the direction that you are meant to go in. You will never get a book or a map that's going to tell you the how. It's not going to be here's step 1 to 100 of what you need to do in order to get to. It's never going to be that way. Intuitive guidance always comes in like a breadcrumb trail. They give you an incomplete sentence, an idea, a thought, a feeling, around something. And usually on its own, it doesn't make logical sense. But when you choose to sit with that energy, that little breadcrumb, work with it, contemplate it, feel into it, step into it, the next one will appear. This is following the flow of synchronicity. It's following the flow of information. It's following the breadcrumb trail. So take action, whether that means, again, sitting with it, reading about it, hiring a mentor, whatever it is, take the next step. Take the first step into going towards your destiny, into exploring that inner calling. So many people are being awakened and illuminated, and that energy placed on their heart that they are needed during this time. And your world will drastically change around you to force you in that direction if you don't take the initiative to go on your own. But here's the other thing about this energy, and we may talk a little bit more about this in the March forecast, but let's talk about the clarity because there's so many planets in Pisces right now. And as we start to go through that first eclipse in Pisces and more and more energy is in that area, this is where we can feel a little bit mind bendy, right? So it's not that we won't have clarity. It's that the clarity is going to look differently. Pisces, that energy in the Piscean era that we are stepping into, is more about learning to feel into, believe in the energy you're feeling and creating without the actual seeing. It is a very metaphysical, cosmic, intuitive, psychic energy. It's delusional at times because you are going to be acting upon guidance and information and energy and knowing inside of you with no physical evidence to support you. And people may call you delusional. Why are you going that way? There's nothing showing you that you should be going that way. And you're like, I don't know. It's a feeling inside of me. I saw a vision. I got a little nugget. I had this feeling, whatever it is. It's believing without seeing. It's trusting in the infinite possibilities. It's trusting in yourself and having faith in yourself and listening to that intuitive guidance that is, whether you realize it or not, coming through to you. So oftentimes people don't like Pisces energy because it's delusional, it's confusing, it's foggy, it's ruled by Neptune. Again, a very dreamy, foggy, cosmic, but it's not really what it is. It's etheric. It's ethereal. It's quantum. It's metaphysical. It releases the limits within you. It's going beyond the limits. And so while we don't have a collective veil, and we have not had a collective veil for a very long time, even though people still think there really is not. We each still have a personal veil. And so your personal veil is going to be very thin during this time. And you are going to have or have the potential to have these mind-bending experiences, these quantum experiences, where maybe you have a vision or you have a very vivid dream, or you have this insane synchronicity where you felt something or had a thought of something, and then you heard someone say it or you saw it on a sign or a TV. The information is going to be clear, but it's going to come in a way that's going to challenge the limits of your ego. You're going to have experiences where you're going to be able to move very easily through the timelines, through the versions of your being, to access that information from your over soul, from the what we'd call the umbrella of all the lives that are happening simultaneously. Remember, there's no past or future life. Every life that you will ever live is happening right now. So that is going to be the mind-bending experience where you can kind of feel like you're moving through timelines or you're moving through waves of energy. And sometimes this can make you feel a little crazy. I mean, I have been doing this work for a very long time. I've been channeling galactic councils and angelic councils and source for 10 years, uh, if not longer. So even I still have moments when I feel myself moving through the timelines and different versions of myself. Sometimes I feel like I'm going a little crazy because I'm like, I know I did this, but I did this in a different timeline. I didn't do it in this timeline. And now I've moved into another timeline. So it can be confusing, but it doesn't mean there won't be clarity. The clarity is just going to come in a different way, different form. So this is going to be a great time to meditate. It's going to be a great time to be in nature. It's going to be a good time to dream journal. It's going to be a good time to be very present and in tune. Things you should be doing all the time anyway, but be more intentional about it at this time. So this second cosmic wave of light is going to start moving through. It's going to be amplified by this new moon in Pisces and the activation of the eclipse in Pisces and the activation of the North Node in Pisces. So it's going to be very big energy and it's going to carry us for the next 6 to 8 weeks through this portal. It's going to be ushering us into the direction that we're meant to be going. And around the 6 week mark, 4 to 6 week mark, I'm feeling is when we're really going to feel like the way I can describe it is this release. It's like when we just feel this ushering of energy moving through us where we're like, okay, we've dropped this load. We've processed through all of this density that we were meant to, all of this fear, because that's what's happening here. So many of us are being transformed and carried through that tsunami of light into the new earth frequencies. And as we move into the new earth frequencies, we cannot take the baggage with us. You can't take the fear. You can't take the grief. You can't take the doubt. You can't take the lack. Anything that is not love cannot move forward. So everything that is not love is going to be pushed on inside of you over a period of time and invoking the release. And this is why people are really sleeping more, meditating more. So if you've been someone who's been called to sleep more, or you're just tired all the time, or you're wanting to meditate more, be in nature more, those are ways, those are hacks, those are ways that spirit help you to let go. You'll let go in your sleep. You'll let go when you're meditating. You'll let go more in nature, especially if you're someone like me who's a little bit stubborn and tends to hold on to things a little bit more than they should. You will feel these things, and that is going to be your sign that you have moved into that new frequency and you are having. I mean, I don't want to say it. They're wanting me not to say it this way. So before I even say it, I'm going to change it. That you're being assisted in letting go so that you can flow in these new frequencies. So the very best thing that you can do during this time is to be present, to live in that surrendered state, to have trust and faith in the unseen and listening to that guidance that is coming through you from another version of you that is in a different frequency. That is what you're being asked to do. So I hope this gives you a little insight as to what we're going to experience this week and into the beginning of next. And I will be back next week to give you a full forecast on what we may experience in March. Blessings.